We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go
I like
down.
the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Song like my wrist piece, everybody got to watching it. Know you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I would be stupid to be not on it.
Watch me flex. If you had told me 5 years ago that I would have to be setting intentions, I would be doing a whole wellness reset, I wouldn't have believed you. I would not have believed that I would be bringing my pup back in a box and not back in her fluffy bed. March 7th was one of the worst days of my life. I lost the cutest dog on the planet. All she wanted was her turkey bacon and me to hold her and get all that hair up all over. She took up half of a queen-size bed, even though she was only a 6.5-pound Chihuahua. Ethel Mertz was everything to me, and she was all I had. And when she died, I had to learn how to live again. I didn't know that I would have to go into therapy again, and I probably should not have left. I would not have just discovered how to be a part of life again. I did not know the importance of being a part of the cycle of life. I would prefer her to be here now. I would prefer not to feel guilty and to feel lonely, but it would be a disservice to her memory if I would just stop being. You lose focus, and it's just hard. But sometimes the hard thing is what makes life worth living. But through it all, my crawling my way back into life, I'm learning how to be thankful. I'm learning that sometimes you have to have intentions in quiet. You have to have a regimen of wellness. You basically start with Zumba to get the blood flowing and to wake up the mind and letting the rhythm take you to that zone. And because you are bona fide big back, you have to do it seated, but you can still get the blood pumping and get your day started. Then you can move on to the quiet intention. You can do what you need to do to your blog posts. Even though I'm really late on getting this of my first blog together for the month of June, I'm thankful that I'm able to come up with something to be able to post. The shift in my evolution is not by accident. It's just necessary. because I've have to find my way back to life to continue to live. If things remind me of that precious dog, I don't have to fall apart. I can still do to continue to be able to share her memories and to be able to exist, even though she's no longer here in her little furry, cute face body. The ritual that you can actually do, because I start my day off with hot lemon water, as well as a hot tea made with ginger, rosemary, lemon balm, and basil. It basically is prepping my body and flushing the system and getting the bowel together for whatever. Is it going to be coffee today, or if it's going to be a vegetable a green smoothie? And I'm grateful for those moments every single day. It's warming, and it's just a ability to be able to receive not only your digestive system to receive and digest appropriately food. It is basically prepping you to receive and process all of the information and tasks that you actually have to do throughout the day. Higher order thinking, keeping and the alertness to be able to notice things and to be able to plan ahead. You may not be able to control everything, but you be able to control things and take it step by step to make better decisions so your life won't be faulty or always in chaos. By the time you're ready to log into work, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You've gone through your thankfulness list. You are going to keep going because not just because you have to, because you want to. That's where all these things actually come into great focus. You get up for that second cup of coffee, preferably from my Kenya single origin from FB Roasters. You can basically step and transition from renewing. Every single day, you are in constant renewal, and that allows you to prepare for the reward that is definitely coming to you, and allow me to gather information and to be able to create content for everyone's enjoyment. It makes me be able to want to read again for pleasure. It makes me put together a reading list so you can either pick from one of my books for whatever purpose and bring it on the retreat. Just note the link to the webpage will be in the podcast notes, but I'm actually planning a retreat right here in Chattanooga, going to the Glamping Collective. There are only 10 spots. So get in contact with me as soon as you possibly can to enjoy the quiet solitude, the fellowship when you need to, and also just the great quietness so you can just quiet your soul to receive input by book, by magazine, by doing some Tai Chi and yoga and some guided meditation, a sound bath. Again, preparing your mind to receive more of life. This rebalance is just more about kicking grief in the face, but it's also about resetting yourself to prepare you to control the next iteration of your life, wherever it is, wherever you want to be. You will get your quiet time to be able to settle your mind to either read a great book or even write a great book if you want to. We need to read the stories that reflect our own rhythms and our own ways of healing. Whether we're reading the history of the Southeast Sea Islands or diving into some new perspective of ancestral practices, the mental nourishment is just as important as the physical movement. All of those things are connected. This connectiveness is a part of the Afro-Druid ethos, which I'll be diving into more so throughout this month, throughout this year. But the tea the real tea that you drink, dancing and coffee and stories is all a part of the rhythm of renewal. It's not a destination, it's a daily practice of showing up for yourself with a clear head and a grateful heart. If you'll excuse me, I need to update my thankfulness list. And it's too late for coffee because I'm recording this part of the podcast well into the evening. But when you can think about when you're doing your regimen of thankfulness and gratitude and renewal tomorrow morning, yes, I will be hitting either my Kenya blend, single origin blend, or my French roast. But that French roast actually had me tweaking earlier on Monday because usually I've been drinking a lot of steep tea, but I had taken my Ninja single my single serving Ninja from my RV before I took it into the shop. And I put enough of those French roast fresh ground coffee grounds into my the coffee ground holder, and it was so strong and couldn't wonder why I didn't blink for hours. But that's all good and fun, but you just got to be careful with them beans, child, because you will be tweaking like you hit a pipe or something. I'm just saying. But it's a lot of fun. Join us while we reset and renew at Valley of the Soul retreat coming up July 23rd through the 26th. Navigate to fbroasters.com, get your gear, and get your single origin or multi-origin sample packs, or even navigate over to my Far From Beale Street bookshop and start reading a part of the reading list for the Valley of the Souls retreat. I think it's going to be a banger in a quiet way. And just let me know what you think about any books I should be adding to the reading list. And as always, take care of yourself and just continue to walk with a clear head and a grateful heart every single day. And thank you for listening.
Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. Online, on time, oh so bold. Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away.
Slowly circling around the corner of completing AI assisted, of course, this for the first time having a podcast that I am producing. In actuality, to keep me on to keep me on point, my plan is to actually repost, get that together for tomorrow, call caution on this one so I can gather my wits around my mindfulness and also just simply talking about the details as I get them short of. So I have a feeling that, actually, I know I'm not going to basically post this probably until tomorrow afternoon, but I at least need to get the components or what resembles the components together. So they're having our reading and glamping mindfulness retreat at the Glamping Collective, newly open in Trenton, Georgia. Really is a dream. Also, because I'm having it in July, unbeknownst to me, I wanted to create a list anyways that contained Terry McMillan and B.B. Moore Campbell, but I did not know that before she died of brain cancer back in 2006, she had been a massive advocate for the American Psychiatric Association and instrumental in making July National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And also NAMI, now NAMI of Urban LA. It ensures that there are safe places for families of color to navigate the mental health system. So my curated 15-book list that is top heavy with those three, with fascinating authors, not only Terry McMillan and B.B. Moore Campbell, but also Britt Bennett. There is a perfect balance of deep generational exploration and modern relationship dynamics and a mindful social reflection. On the first book, The Vanishing Half, it looks at a multi-generation story centered on two twin sisters who grew up in a small, light-skinned Black community in Louisiana. Think Creoles, think the Octoroons of New Orleans. When one chooses to pass as white and the other remains rooted in her Black identity, their paths just diverge completely, forcing the readers to be mindfully examine identity, performance, colorism, and what costs to recreate yourself. I'm trying to only recreate my mental state. I just want to be who I am, and by just shoring up my mental state, I'm hopeful to be just a better person, a better friend, and there you go. There's The Mothers, which was this is Britt Bennett, her stunning debut, which was set in a tight-knit contemporary Black church community in Southern California. It focuses on a young woman's processing of grief, a secret pregnancy, and the cascading choices of youth. It's narrated by a Greek chorus-style collective of the church elders, making it an incredible study on community secrets and maternal bonds and judgment versus grace. Then we go on to B.B. Moore Campbell, and we dive into her debut novel, Your Blues Ain't Like Mine's, which was inspired by the tragedy of Emmett Till. I don't know if I actually have that one or if I'm actually going to get it if I don't have it in my stock right now, because that's kind of a little bit heavy for a lightness of a mindfulness retreat. There's 72-Hour Whole, which is about a fiercely devoted mother trying to save her bipolar daughter while battling a fractured healthcare system and a deep-seated cultural stigmas around mental illness. It's a story about boundaries, which I'm learning now, unconditional love, and radical acceptance, which I'm also learning now. I actually think I have brothers and sisters. I don't remember when I read it, but this was actually set immediately following the 1992 Rodney King riots. The novel explores the delicate regional tension Can't we all just get along? And corporate glass ceilings through a regional bank. It focuses heavily on the challenging, fragile nature of interracial female relationship and institutional bias. Singing in a Comeback Choir is a beautiful, soul-stirring story about legacy and reconnection. A successful television producer returned to her childhood home in a declining Philadelphia neighborhood to care for a grandmother who raised her. A former jazz singer who has lost her joy. That's the grandmother. Wow. It centers beautifully on giving back, honoring roots, and personal rejuvenation. That's like something I'm going to need to read. If I don't have that one, I got to get it. Then there's What You Owe Me, sweeping historical novel tracking a post-World War II friendship between a Black woman and a Jewish Holocaust survivor who meet while working as maids in an LA hotel. They build a cosmetics empire together, and you know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to cheat somebody, and then the betrayal fractures the bond. This is an intense study of trust, ambition, and eventual forgiveness. Then there's Terry Willing. There's Waiting to Post Bail, Disappearing Acts, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. A Day Late and $1 Short. I don't think I ever got that one. I'm going to check my stacks before I actually buy that one. There's The Interruption of Everything, a book about mindfulness. It focuses on Marilyn Grime, a woman who has spent her life being a perfect wife, mother, and caretaker to everyone around her until she realizes she has completely lost track of her own dreams. It's an inspiring blueprint for reclaiming your space and identity. And then there's I Almost Forgot About You. Dr. Georgia Young is a successful optometrist with a beautiful home and great friends, but she feels completely stuck and uninspired. She decides to make radical life changes, moving homes, changing career, and tracking down past love to see where things went wrong. This is fantastic for anyone looking to hit the reset button. I don't know about that changing home things. Again, at 4.99%, they're going to have to blast me up out of here, for real. It's Not All Downhill From Here is a novel which follows Laretha Jones and her tight circle of lifelong friends as they navigate the sudden and unexpected losses of their late 60s. Instead of folding, they double down on living vibrantly, proving that joy, style, and personal evolution do not have an expiration date. I need to move that one. I need to move I Almost Forgot About You, and making sure I don't already have A Day Late and $1 Short. Getting to Happy, I need to move this one up. This is the sequel to Waiting to Post Bail. It catches up with 4 core women 15 years later as they deal with midlife shifts, changing family dynamics, and fresh emotional hurdles. It emphasizes that getting to happy isn't a final destination, but a conscious daily practice. Yep, got to get that one. And that's what it's all about. This is all the tie-in with all of those previously discussed books. It basically is enduring to B.B. Moore's legacy, and you need to let the group know that their presence at a mindfulness retreat coincides directly with this Mental Health Awareness Month. Also, I will be posting about specific questions for individual reflection or individual meditation, also scattered throughout the rest of this month. And again, thank you for listening. Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Ways to know and ways to grow, a temporal rainbow. world, look, it's in a book. A tinfoil rainbow. A tinfoil rainbow. A tinfoil rainbow. So the last week, I have been intending to drop this podcast because I haven't really had to record any new new content because I had been just reusing previous week's content, but this got a lot and startling information to me anyways, because I realized that several things. I realized that I'm still healing, and grief fuels depression. And depression is a bald-headed hoe in a cheap wig. Shout out to Nene Leakes, early days of Real Housewives of Atlanta, describing Kim Zolciak and her Party City wigs, but I digress. But I can't remember a time where I've actually been really happy. And now that I'm trying to plan a reset, I'm thinking, reset to what? I've been pushing down pain and it's been bubbling back up as bitterness. I even was avoiding mirrors. And then I caught a glimpse of myself in a mirror. And then when I recorded the audio for the next segment, I realized that my eyes look haunted and they look sad. And this person that I had become, but I was avoiding, was looking back at me, and it scared me a little bit. Y'all know I miss my dog, Ethel. I miss her so much. And I feel guilty that I didn't protect her. I feel guilty. I was so afraid of others that would hurt me, then I projected it on her. And then, so I closed myself off. And then I didn't allow her to be trained and peopled. And it ended up, they had to sedate her. And it was my fault. And then she ended up getting hurt in the end, and she's not here. And I keep feel so much guilt over that. I know I should change the language because I've been given the words by my therapist, but it's still hard. I still blame myself. I didn't want anybody to hurt her. The previous entry, I'm glad my sister actually called me because I was spiraling again and feeling guilty about little Elsa being alone in her last moments. I can only hope that she wasn't in pain. I just did not want her to suffer. I still feel that I let her down, and I blame myself. But I know I have to refrain and have to use the right therapy speak about I would have preferred, but sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes you will spiral. The concreteness of blame and feeling guilt and rephrasing, it's going to take practice, just like riding a bike. I just simply miss her, but I know it's more than that. Right now, I'm in a place, in the background you'll hear is the rain on the hurricane-proof plastic of the Glamping Collective. My own grief is being translated into helping other people process other painful memories and painful psychological processes. And I'm in a place, when I was started recording or I wrote this out, I was actually next to the Tennessee River at one of the EV charging sites. I get to be in a place where I get why they call these mountains the Smoky Mountains. Before, it was because of the choking quality of the coal-fired chimneys that they were pulling out of the mountains. Now, I'm just basically in the mountains. No, it's not the Colorado Mount or the Rocky Mountains, the Sierra Nevadas, No, it's none of that. But it is a beautiful place, high enough where actually in the rain clouds, and it's still very beautiful. I am in a place where I can't even be sad. Through my imagination, it this scenery supports just positive reflection. My call to action is for y'all to basically come and experience this with me, because you can't be sad here. You'll be sad for a minute, but you won't. And it's okay to be depressed, but you can't remain depressed. You'll be able to work through it. Any anxiety, any depression, whatever ails you from a psychological standpoint, you'll be able to work through it. And it's so much better here on the other side, because that's what I'm hoping to achieve with this retreat, being a place where you can work through your ish. It's just that simple. Make some money, cool. Practice, cool. But also work through getting to the other side and learning what a reset means and the importance of reset so you can control your next chapter. It's harder to turn that page, but when you do, you also get to be the architect of what is written on that page. And that's the word right there.
Let's calibrate the frequency on this one. The swamp is crowded, full of underfed, frozen-faced predators, snapping at marbles, desperate to be the chosen editors. They call it a lifestyle, but the game is just a rigged simulation. A no-win test designed to force a toxic confrontation. But the operator arrived with a full-blown session. No damsel in this room, no victim waiting for a cape. Just a mogul in the shadows, measuring the shape. Let's calibrate the frequency on this one.
Most people, when they watch these reality shows, I've been told, oh, the lifestyles are aspirational. And even outside of Bose and the non-scamminess of Dr. Wendy Acefo on Potomac, I aspire to and pick and choose what I can relate to with a lot of these women on these shows, because a lot of them live fraudulently. But I digress. It's been a while that I can relate to the stories of the queens on Heart and Hustle Houston, because I'm looking forward to other cities within this franchise, because these women appear to be actual friends and they look like me, all different sizes, all different hair lengths and textures. And it's really probably one of the coolest things that's out here. And it exists in the own universe. It premiered last year to a lot of fanfare. It was weird that I said, who is this? And looked into the producer, because it wasn't Carlos King. It was another well-known producer. And then I really liked it because I like their stories were more relatable, because we have been in those situations, or I've been in some of these situations, or we have family members and other best friends that also are in these situations. So when I asked the AI prompt to basically break their storyline down by cast member, I think Gemini did a great job. So I'm going to start at the top with Elena Salisbury. And if you hear in the background, we are to the part of Heart and Hustle Houston where she comes back and she's sitting down with the ladies, or only 3 of the ladies, which I'll get into later. And she's relating what she's been going to since the cameras pick back up. The scene between Elena, Latoria, Rowe, and Chloe was classic and exemplifies what most people aspire to: women that you can be vulnerable with and also cut the fool with, and they will always uplift you. The relationships that you should have should uplift you in some way and should not tear you down. And this brings me back to Elena because we have watched in real time the demise of a 2 decades long relationship. It was because of Josh cheating, his infidelity in his relationship, his not being clear when he ran through 250,000 racks in day trading. She basically says he cheated on her during the engagement, never made her whole from that, but she went ahead and married him anyways and swept it under the rug. But she could not sweep or continue to sweep the resentment under the rug because I think he probably cheated again. And he never gave her money back because he kept doubling down instead of doing the right thing and course correcting when his investments weren't making money. He basically went riskier and lost even more money. And she only found out about it when the math won't mathin' and when they were way beyond the point of no return. And he admitted to it in therapy. Her marital issues are deeply intertwined with the generational trauma and her relationship, which is highly strained with her own mother. The relationships that was portrayed, we only saw a little bit of it, but it was the original blueprint for how she allowed herself to be treated her entire adult life. It contributed to her most personal and painful decisions. There was an emotional group healing session during season 1 when Elena broke down a fundamental truth about her upbringing. She never received a lesson from her mother on how a man is supposed to love, respect, and value a woman. Because her mother did not or could not model a healthy, protective relationship dynamic, Elena entered her adulthood without an emotional radar for red flags. This left her incredibly vulnerable to mistreatment because she had no baseline for what a secure partnership looked like. She normalized the betrayal because her mother, it's not like her mother did not give her any guidance. She just gave her the wrong guidance. Suck it up, turn a blind eye, keep the family together. That's what Elena learned. When Josh cheated on her during the engagement, her instinct wasn't to walk away or demand intense accountability. Instead, she swept it under the rug and she married him. Anyways, Elena later confessed that her choice to accept the infidelity stemmed from a deep-seated belief that emotional neglect and betrayal were simply things women were supposed to tolerate. She lacked the maternal encouragement needed to understand her own worth, causing her to accept a flawed foundation just to keep her family intact. With the strained maternal dynamic, Elena was forced to build a hyper-independent, rigid exterior. As the powerhouse CEO of Color du Jour, she poured all her energy into her business because control in the corporate world was safer than the chaos of her personal life. Her own mother's inability to provide a safe, soft space for her as a child meant that adult Elena fiercely resisted showing weakness. The rejection of vulnerability backfired in her marriage. Because she was burying her resentment and putting on a brave face for years, she allowed all those bitter feelings to rot the relationship from inside out, making this season's separation and pending divorce entirely unavoidable. Elena's entire arc on the show transforms from a standard marriage in trouble storyline into a deeper psychological journey. She digs into her past and she realizes her long-standing emotional battles it didn't start with Josh. They started with the maternal wounds she carried into the relationship. For Elena, reclaiming her peace and stepping into her divorce isn't just about leaving an unfaithful husband. It is a conscious, hard-fought effort to break a generational curse so she doesn't pass those same awful lessons on to the next generation. She reveals she was never healed from Josh's cheating. And Elena opens up about during a vulnerable moment of how a lack of early life guidance caused her to normalize infidelity, setting the stage for her long journey towards self-worth and healing. She reminds me a lot of that Sierra Miller from Summer House, and I hope she gets everything that she wants. I hope she gets a successful business and she gets someone that treats her well. And hopefully they are as fine as her husband, Josh, or soon to be ex-husband, Josh, but they will treat her well instead of trying to rule and one up her. They are each other's support. Let's see, what else? There's Chloe, and I'm going to pause this right now because I need to rewatch this whole section with her youngin' as he talks to La Brea about proposing with his crazy ass, knowing that he ain't ready to marry nobody because he still got wild oats to sow. And speaking of Jordan, he is the love interest of Chloe, who is a high-end event planner whose central arc revolves around her romantic life and her challenging family life after her long-term partner basically unexpectedly passed away. By season 2, as I stated, they are on the verge of an engagement, but then there's a laundry list of dark secrets from his past that threatens to derail the entire relationship. There's Ro, who appears to me as drop the pen, girly girl, we ride at dawn. She looked like she'd cut a bitch, and I like that about her. She's a powerhouse hospitality innovator and a commanding force in the cutthroat Houston nightlife scene. Her personal life takes wild turn from she had a pregnancy scare in season 1 to navigating the toxic, highly emotional co-parenting dynamic in season 2 when her ex, Javon, rolls back into town and then brings up unhealed feelings. When men get in their head or get in their feelings, it's actually very annoying, especially if they're a punk ass. There's the pretty Munera Page. She looks like she has it all completely together, but behind the scenes, I didn't know this. Her marriage to her husband, Norm, is struggling. She seems like she's on that Elena-ish. She realizes just how her parents' toxic relationship built emotional walls that are now sabotaging her adult life. Yeah, girl, I know that too. See, I told you I can relate to all these women. Even though I'm definitely not as pretty as Monera, I get that pain. Then there is everyone's friend, the PR giant, Latoria Lemon. She continues to run an award-winning firm while opening restaurants, while trying to cope with a profound personal grief. Latoria constantly finds herself acting as the unexpected pivot point for the group's chaotic drama. Was it last year? I think her father passed away and it rocked her. I get that too, girl. There's Labrina. She's the elite spa and wellness owner who starts off as the caretaker of the group, only to find the tables turn or flipped during season 2 when the other women turn on her and brand her the ultimate mean girl. There is a moment where they say when the cameras went down and they went to a group therapy session, and then Labrina told all of them, "You're not even on my level, so why am I wasting my time?" And then when they called her on it, she ended up storming out and saying, "F y'all." Yeah, that is why she was categorized as a mean girl. Some of the most wild moments were Chloe interrogating Elena at Latoria's restaurant. In reality TV, you don't ruin someone else's business launch, but Chloe completely ignored that memo. Everybody was there, but Chloe was coming after Elena, badgering her to come clean and admit to the entire group that her marriage was failing, pushing everybody to dissect their marital trauma on camera at a formal corporate event. Textbook bad decision instantly fractured the group's trust, and it does appear Chloe prides herself on keeping it real, but most of the time it comes off as keeping it real mean. And I don't know how much of that I'm going to be able to tolerate. Then Shaniqua was brought to a single ladies out event with receipts. One of the most chaotic setups was when she crashes Chloe's single ladies night out. She doesn't just show up to chat. She brings literal receipts regarding the cast members' private lives. Then the night devolves into a massive screaming blowout at that event and venue. It derails the night and it leads to an explosive physical and verbal altercation that split the friend group into opposing factions. I vaguely remember this. This sounds like somebody that was really thirsty and that wanted to be a part of this main cast and was trying to do everything that they can, but it ended up backfiring. In a move that was on par with any other reality TV delusion, Latoya agrees to step in and plan Jordan's surprise marriage proposal to Chloe. This was a catastrophic decision because the group was already radically divided into bitter, warring cliques following the aftermath of the Shaniqua incident. By placing herself in charge of the most sensitive romantic event of the season, Latoya willingly walked straight into an emotional minefield, ensuring that the proposal was surrounded by gossip, family pushback over the 17-year age gap, and white hot tension. The prize for the worst long-term decision goes to Chloe, therefore. She ignored glaring red flags about the man for years. The ladies jokingly note that Jordan comes with a messy Carfax report, shocking revelations regarding his financial past, hidden background details, Lord Jesus, and a legal history that has suddenly come to light just as he's picking out an engagement ring. Her refusal to look closely at his history until it was blasted on television put her relationship on life support. You can watch Heart and Hustle Houston season 2 for this full breakdown and watching these shifting alliances, the mean girl shifting labels, and the explosive romantic fallout of these Houston business moguls. I think, what was it? Simon on the first Devil Wears Prada. He says, just when your life in corporate world or business is all clicking on all cylinders, that's when your personal life is in shambles and on life support. And in this case, he is damn right. All these women are wildly successful, but they're going through some serious struggles in their interpersonal as well as their marriages and relationship. It is wow. But that's real life. But they still work through it, still show up, and still show out. And that's what I'm here for. This manufactured BS, I'm not here for any of that. But I'm here for this. And I can't wait to see how this turns out. So after not recording for any new content for 3 weeks, I've actually had the opportunity, I've still been creating content heavily AI assisted for the last several weeks. So this is secondary to a lot of the iconic shows like Beverly Hills, Housewives of Beverly Hills. They wrapped and they're I saw their reunion, which was lackluster, except for the Bose and Rachel Ray of it all. It was kind of a weird, boring season. So I started rewatching some of the older shows. I haven't gotten around to Beverly Hills. OC is getting ready to come back for their 20th season. And the rest of them, like Real Housewives of Atlanta, is back with a vengeance in season 17, but they're being recapped by Carlos, Dustin, Claudia, and Blue, and sometime Jasmine, who's getting ready to get married. And even Love and Marriage Huntsville is being recapped by that crew. And their recaps are funny. And now I'm looking at the fashions for the reunion for Real Love and Marriage Huntsville. I will be doing, I won't even be doing Love and Marriage Birmingham because they've done a funny recaps of that. And that reunion was a trip. I'm looking at Destiny in Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion. She is looking amazing. She is looking absolutely amazing. Why is her face broke though? Hold on. So I just saw Destiny's face being broke, but anyways, I'll get back to that in a second. So Real Housewives of New York, seasons 1 through 3 has been arguably, it was the golden age of reality TV. Real Housewives of Atlanta was airing. OC was actually already on air, and then Beverly Hills. And just as a side note, I believe the first iteration of the Kardashians may have started somewhere during this time, but don't quote me on that. One of the things I realized is how unhinged and how underfed all of these women appeared, how they represented everything that was wrong with our society and continues to be represented. How thirsty all of them were to a certain extent, and just how annoying really all of these underfed white women were. I am going to comment based on the original cast members, what their relationship status was, because it's amazing that the Real Housewives of New York, all of them are not married except for one. And the dissolution of their relationships is tied into this show taking off. But I digress. Bethany Frankel married Jason Hoppy in 2010, and they split up 2 years later. There was many spinoffs centering around her Skinny Girl margaritas, as well as her books, but they did not officially finalize that divorce until January 2021. It was that they struggled to tear their relationship apart longer than they were actually together. We saw her on the show meeting him, they move in, she gets pregnant, and then they get married. Kind of everything was flip-flop. Bethany entered the seasons basically broke at only earning $72.50 a show or an episode where she was featured. Oh, baby. What Destiny said about Tisha, and she continues to forget. It seems like Letitia Scott has a loose association with the truth, which is wild to me. And she said she had to fight with Destiny to stay married to Marceau. But the final episode looked as if their relationship is strained. I don't know, irreparable, because I don't know if Letitia Scott is going anywhere. But what makes her a great reality star makes it seems like it makes her a very difficult friend and wife. So I wonder which one side she'll pick. The way of most reality female stars divorce, like the Roni women, or she's in it and she's willing to do the work to stay in it. Heart and Hustle, also Houston, also on OWN, which I'm going to discuss. I'm not sure if that's going to play before this or before this section of the episode or after, but I'm also going to be discussing that with Elena, one of the main characters in that franchise. Anyways, Bethany Frankel entered as the broke, underprivileged cast member, but she basically sold Skinny Girl Cocktails empire in 2011 for estimated $39 million, and then built upon that wealth to over $70 million. She's one of the most financially successful alumni of the franchise. She entered annoying, and as her financial status rose, it seems like she became even more annoying, and her ego increased. She began to smell herself. I do believe that may have contributed to the demise of that whirlwind relationship. He seemed like a good guy. It was more so than the bald dude that she started out with in season 1, who also, I think his name was either Jason or Jeremy. The first dude did not want to film. This guy seemed to wanted to lean into the reality and basically show his own glow, because I think he was a financial advisor in the go-go days before the crash, but he never was able to share the wealth because Bethany wasn't crazy. Bethany wasn't sharing. And they also had an ironclad prenup. So even though I thought she was probably and is the most annoying former Real Housewife, those prenups, ask Candy Burris, will save your life and save your wealth that you earn. But I could see her holding it over his head. I could see her flexing. I can see her hyper independence getting on that man's nerves, because we only saw a small section of how she was on the show for a few months out of the year. How was she when the camera was down for the other 9 months of the year? So, Luann de Lesseps married a French aristocrat, Count Alexandre de Lesseps, who they famously noted that one of his ancestors assisted the French in donating the Statue of Liberty. And when they went out on the ferry to visit it, that evil, spoiled teenage daughter, of course, brought the whole moment down when they were just reliving history. She didn't care. But anyways, they divorced in 2009. She married Tom DiAgostino Jr. in 2016 and then divorced him 7 months later. She's kept most of her wealth. While she lost the Countess title via that divorce, she retained a substantial settlement from the Count, worth an estimated $25 million. She capitalized heavily on her reality TV fame with her Countess and Friends cabaret shows, and then launching a non-alcoholic wine lines, even as she struggled with her own sobriety. But I digress. When I watch Ramona Singer twitch and tick and wild stuff would fly out of her mouth, I thought this lady had some undiagnosed Tourette's, but she was just a vapid, stupid white woman. She was married to Mario Singer, but they filed for divorce in 2014 after finding out that he was cheating on her with somebody a younger woman within that social circle. I remember I don't know if it was season 2 or season 3 opened up, and she got her hair cut, and she was saying some mess about she looks like a young Cameron Diaz. Girl, bye, shut up. No, you don't. You look like a bug-eyed, crazy woman with a great hair colorist. She was already self-made fashion merchandising, evidently entrepreneur before the show. She continued to earn one of Bravo's top salaries, 500 grand per season towards the end. And it appears that she invested well with the estimated net worth of about 18 million. She transitioned her focus into high-end real estate and Amazon exclusive jewelry skincare lines. But one of the from business from the singers, they had like this religious jewelry, I think, line. But it appears, even though she appeared to be a savvy businesswoman and knew how to pivot from that realm, she looked like a crazy bipolar woman off meds on screen. What made her supposed great reality star made it very difficult for her to watch and to root for her. Alex McCord, who looked like redhead olive oil, she and her weirdo husband, Alex McCord, are still married. Simon Van Kempen. They relocated from Brooklyn to Byron Bay, Australia 10 years ago. They've maintained a stable lifestyle because not trying to keep up with the Joneses in New York, not rolling in that social circle. She was never the wealthiest, but she walked away from TV to school and then to becoming a practicing psychologist. And Simon pursued a law degree. They sit comfortably on about 2 million. I don't know if that's US or Australia, but it looks like they're living very comfortably in their their lives. Jill Zarin, I can't even say poor Jill because Jill ain't poor. She was married to Fabric Mobile, Bobby Zarin, who tragically passed away in 2018 after a long battle with cancer. I believe thyroid cancer, maybe some other type of cancer that metastasized and eventually took his life. But he fought the good fight for at least almost a decade. Between the textile empire, real estate investments, and then other ventures, her standing is about 35 million, but she still looks like she was so unhappy, given her breakdown on social media over Bad Bunny playing the Super Bowl. Girl, Jill, are you okay? She just crazy. And you can be fabulously rich and still be fabulously miserable. But she's been miserable for a while. Her central social storyline centers around her daughter, Ali Shapiro, sent her to a detox fat camp, and the girl lost 11 pounds in 8 days. That was cringy. It highlights the highly toxic and body shaming diet culture that they normalized in the 2000s, and then Bethany Frankel capitalized on. Jill openly admits that her own mother sent her to a fat camp as a child that gave her food issues, and yet she perpetuated that cycle. Allie who noted in retrospectives that she had requested to go to handle her health, but Jill was seen as bringing her daughter's weight struggles as a fight, just kind of tacky. Is she a racist? Probably, but I'm sure a lot of things of worse nature have been said on the group chats. She just went cuckoo on social media and got fired for it. February 2026, there was talk of a highly anticipated Roni spinoff called The Golden Life on E. However, when Blink 49 saw that nonsense, they severed ties and fired her after that post. Although fellow alumni like Aviva Drescher defended her by calling the rant stupid, not racist. Yeah, girl, it was stupid and it was racist because usually racist rants are just dumb. The network deemed her public comments a direct violation of company values and ended their 15-year quest to return her request to return to full-time TV. She kept popping up like a roach on an episode of Below Deck Down Under, and I was so glad when that group left the boat. I couldn't stand her then, and I couldn't remember where I saw her from. Now, by rewatching these first few years and how she acts like she runs the place, yeah, there are issues. Jill has issues. So let's go on with seasons 2 and 3. And again, considered the golden era of reality TV. But when I look back with these lenses, it was just how jarring the public in general was willing to accept classism, continuous body shaming, microaggressions, not even borderline delusional behavior. We're talking full out personality disorders on display for the benefit of entertaining the mass. While it was entertaining, it also started to feel exploitive too. And all of these women needed deep psychological evaluation and possibly meds with many adjustments. Bethany, seasons 2 and 3, she basically rises meteorically from personal struggling chef to a legit mogul. She launches Skinny Girl. She gets in a fight, and Jill Zarin starts player hating her because she no longer needed. This is Bethany, needed Jill. And when she bucked and basically told her to get a hobby, and Jill took massive offense to that and then tried to freeze her out, which backfired horribly on Jill. She was the audience proxy and considered the relatable one, but her hyperfixation on body size and constant projection of weight anxiety through her branding laid the groundwork for toxic late 2000s diet culture perpetuated by that tome she wrote. Her relentless aggressive screaming matches with Kelly Benjamin on Scary Island on a cast trip, driven by frustration, crossed the line from defense into relentless verbal beatdown. She thought she was funny, but she wasn't funny. And she didn't have an off switch. And she kept going because, again, nobody told her to stop. It like the training wheels fell off and she was just running down the hill, full speed ahead. Luann is season 2, she was at the height of her darling countess phase. She wrote a book on etiquette and was lecturing everyone on manners. But then in season 3, her husband breaks up with her. By the end of season 2, at the reunion, she reveals that her husband broke up with her by email, said he was gone anyways, and during the times when they weren't traveling anymore because she was posing in New York probably, he met somebody else. She loses her title. She moves full-time into that house in the Hamptons, and then she tries to reinvent herself as a single pop star with the release of Chic C'est La Vie. She was basically bigoted and tone deaf. She visits a charity group for inner city at-risk teenagers to speak to them about confidence. And then she basically boasts that she has never lacked confidence, lies because I'm sure she fell apart after the Count left her, brags about being a countess, then she loses the title, and then out of nowhere tells a Black girl who expressed interest in modeling, well, you're quite expanding. Losing weight is the easy part. It is viciously body shaming, socially inappropriate microaggression, which defines Bravo's history. So why do we still watch it? Because supposedly it's entertaining. Jill rules Manhattan Charity Circuit season 2. Season 3, we watch her fall from grace. As Bethany's success grows, Jill tries to freeze her out of the group, a calculated reality TV chess move that backfires and turns fans and Andy Cohen against her. Beyond her cruel treatment of Bethany, Jill handles her daughter's, Allie's health, and even in season 2 as problematic. And again, she brags about sending her daughter over to fat camp. All of the things that she talks about when she goes to France for the summer. She is remarkably toxic, helicopter mom, and I'm wondering why Allie did not run out of there with her hair on fire. And maybe she did overeat to cushion herself from the body blows of the mother's psychological and verbal attacks. Ramona Singer just went off the heezy. In her True Renewal skin fight line, she continues to fight with Jill. She has this spiritual awakening on camera that with wild eyes and drinks a lot of Pinot Grigio. And then she walks. I saw that, and she looked like Scary Spice walking down the runway like a maniac. Her elitism and casual classism was always rampant. In season 3, Alex McCord tries to deliver a message from Jill at a Brooklyn fashion show. Ramona literally puts her hands up, shudders, and refuses to let Alex speak because they are in Brooklyn. She repeatedly referred to Brooklyn as the boonies and openly mocked Alex and Simon's home and neighborhood, implying that living outside the Upper East Side made someone subhuman. And it's remarkable that not so long after that behavior, her marriage implodes and everything that she held dear was gone, including fine Mario singer. Alex spent most of season 2 being mocked for their social climbing, but she kind of finds her backbone in season 3. She steps out of Jill's shadow and delivers the iconic thuggish rugged message to Jill on behalf of Bethany. And she tried to act as a voice of reason during the chaotic cast trips, which I think set her up for now then being paid to be a psychologist instead of just playing one on TV. Her most asinine cringe behavior was probably during season 2 when they tried to social climb high society, and it was just painful to watch. They spent thousands of dollars they barely seemed to have to custom fashion bizarre avant-garde pieces for single red carpet galas, entirely blind to the fact that the upper crust society they were trying to impress was actively laughing at them all the time. I wonder if they even watch these episodes back now and see just how thirsty they really were. Then there's Kelly Killoran Benjamin. She came in season 2, clashes immediately with Bethany, instigates that famous "I'm up here, you're down here" scene, and seems to have lost her mind. She breaks down during season 3 on a yacht in St. John, which was famously dubbed Scary Island. She accuses Bethany of trying to kill her, dreams about Al Sharpton, and compulsively eats gummy bears. I'm wondering if those gummy bears were leading to her psychosis because they were THC laced. Her entire tenure was weaponizing gaslighting and incoherent bias. She treated Bethany with aggressive, elitist disdain, constantly saying, "Oh, you're just a cook, not a chef," to diminish Bethany's actually livelihood, even though Bethany was blowing the freak up. During the episodes leading up to Scary Island, her behavior was just erratic. She was bullying the other women and simultaneously claiming she was the victim of systematic bullying, completely disconnected from reality. Then last but not least, there's Sonia Morgan. She burst onto the scene kind of mid-season 3. She was introduced to breathe life to the cast, but she did not appear initially in the opening credits, I believe not until like the next season. She was always a full-time cast member and not a friend of. She stood out because she was funny, unfiltered, and completely obsessed with her past life. And she was broke, literally broke. She was the wife of one of the grandchildren. John Adams Morgan was the great-grandchild of the famous J.P. Morgan. He was 33 years older than she was when they married. They had an extraordinary, lavish life, private island, yachts, an Upper East Side townhouse. But that all was revoked in 2006. While she received a massive divorce settlement, he refused to pay much of it, leading to years and years of brutal, exhausting litigation. Right before joining Roni, she was trying to be a Hollywood movie producer. She backed a project starring John Travolta that ultimately fell apart. And then the production company sued her for fraud and breach of contract. She was ordered to pay a staggering $7 million judgment. She was desperately clinging to a decaying Upper East Side townhouse. She was asset rich, but she ain't had no money. That townhouse was no heating and plagued by plumbing issues because she could not keep up or afford the basic maintenance, treating interns as if they were slave labor. When she joined Roni, she was drowning in debt. She filed for bankruptcy in 2010. Even though she was a fan favorite and was warmer than the other women, she was completely delusional and she clung to her past life. She acted as if she were the biological descendant of American royalty, kind of on the Gilded Age vibe, but she only married to the Morgans and then she was divorced and they kicked her out, kind of like the Count kicked Luann out. Except for Luann secured her bag and she didn't have to go through litigation to do such. She, like Luann, and that's why maybe they bonded, lectured the women on proper society protocol while her own financial house of cards was literally burning down. And again, she treated interns like Victorian servants. They fixed her broken toilets and answered phones in freezing, unheated broken down townhouse. She arrived at St. John, looking down at the accommodations, complaining that she usually travels on private yachts with high-end luxury, completely blind to the fact that her castmates' reality TV checks were the only thing keeping her from completely eviction by the bank. Season 3 was just chaotic. Cast interpersonal tensions boiled over into reality TV history, how their behaviors and dramatic shifts went from just being entertaining to exploitive. And they were kept on even with the major reboot for multiple seasons for another decade and a half before they pulled the plug or actually put them on pause. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happier you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAFFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?